You're listening to Superpowers of the Soul on the Superpower Up Podcast, the show that elevates superpowers to the divine.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am Jennifer Urezzio, superpower expert and founder of Soul Language, and this is Superpowers of the Soul. And I am here today with Dr. Heather Clark, and we are talking about the mind and consciousness of a master healer. Welcome, Heather.
Hello. Thanks so much for having me.
I am so excited that you are here. Yay! So I always like to start with the number one question of the show is, what is your superpower of your soul?
I would say the superpower of my soul is cosmic order and balance.
I love that.
I'm a drama killer. I help people reestablish equilibrium, and I just do it a lot of times without even being conscious of it.
Beautiful. So how does that superpower relate to your sacred purpose, and what would you consider your sacred purpose?
Well, right now, as I understand it, my sacred purpose is to help people eliminate stress and burnout and to stop creating drama. So it fits in beautifully. And then using a lot of tools of discernment to really help people tune into how to create that equilibrium for themselves.
Beautiful. And so your work really reflects that, right? I mean, that's, you kind of would be doing that even as a bartender, again, psychic delivery system for that. But, that's always where you're going to go for yourself and then what you're going to lead people to do. So can you just briefly tell us how your work reflects your sacred purpose?
Well, a lot of times when people come to me, and I primarily work with healers and change agents, and these are people that have massive ability to create transformation for other people, but a lot of times aren't doing that for themselves. So they end up being really stressed out, burned out, or unconsciously creating a boatload of drama in their life. Yeah. So really, it's examining what works for them, how to cut things away, discerning what's actually a soul desire and what's maybe coming from obligation, and just to really create a life that works for them, that's in balance, so that they can go into the world and heal people and create more transformation for others.
Yeah, and I always say that, I call that spiritual exhaustion. I call that, oh my God, you're going to be sitting on your couch eating cheese if you don't, take care of ourselves. And I think that, a lot of people call that, self-care. And I think that area, and we're going to talk about this later in the show, but that word self-care is like a moving target, and self-love. What does that mean? And I think one of the things that you do really well is you put some tangibility around how to take action on those two things for people.
Yeah, because it's one thing to say, just be yourself and love yourself. Those are wonderful things, but how?
Right.
What
that look like on a day-to-day basis? Right.
How do I know when I'm doing that? So it's really putting a lot of definite tangibility, and where does the rubber meet the road? And, whatever you're doing, how can you apply that in your life? Because it's one thing to do a lot of research and think about it and talk about it. And then it's another thing to apply the information. Because if there's no purpose for it, why spend time?
Right. So what has been a common theme that your soul has shared with you, across your entire journey?
Oh, what a great question. I would say one of the common themes is creating circumstances that give me an opportunity to see, no, I truly am already whole, complete, and perfect exactly as I am. And I wasn't seeing that. And it's when I could really start to even play with that as if it were true, when things began to really shift for me. So I think that was one of the reasons why the universe brought me that horrible burnout that I was in and recovered from. Because for me, it was the only thing that got me in a situation where I was nearly forced to release old ways of thinking and old ways of being. Because it didn't work for me. And once I was able to, what if that was true? It opened up all these other possibilities, and I could truly step forward.
Yeah, that's really an interesting point. So often that big theme, we can do the conscious side of that big theme or the unconscious side of that big theme in experience, right? So, my big theme has always been enough, right? And, I've had lots of ways that I could have seen that as, oh, here's an experience where yet again, I'm not enough. Or, wow, here's an experience of how I'm enough, depending on the way I was seeing it or my interpretation. And, your mind's always going to chase what you give it to chase. And so the more that we can, chase the big themes rather than, chasing the unconsciousness of that big themes, the easier our life is going to be. And for me, that's less drama. I don't know about for you, Heather, but...
Absolutely. And that actually, it's one of those, it feels like a throwaway line and stop creating drama. But truly, there is drama everywhere in most people's lives, and they're not even aware of it and how they're consciously, or rather unconsciously, creating and perpetuating it. And it feels a little flip, but it truly is just a choice. But you can't really make that choice unless there's some consciousness around it. So it's really bringing consciousness to, oh, this is what I'm choosing. Oh, this sucks. I've been choosing victim energy and then flipping into a bully and then making it somebody else's fault. And then, really perpetuating that cycle. And it can be difficult to truly, oh, that's what I'm doing, acknowledge and accept it. But once you do, that's when you can actually get somewhere. That's where where the rubber truly can meet the road, where you can get some friction and some traction so that you can move forward into what you truly desire.
Yeah. It's about making conscious choices from a place of a clean slate rather than based on programming or past or what you think is going on, And I think we can be really keenly aware of those situations, especially in family relationships. I think that's a great time to practice the non-drama and practice choice. And I think with master healers, that's a big area that they can kind of explore and grow. It becomes a living lab.
Exactly.
So before we have a break here, I have one last question for you. What is your, how does your soul, besides everything that we discussed today, how does your soul also support others?
Oh, by helping people dig down and getting to that solid foundation that truly works for them. And it's all about helping people connect to their own soul, connecting to their own authenticity, and using that as a GPS. So it's dismantling all the old structures that somebody else installed for you and discovering what of it works for you and what doesn't, and helping create their own. And that's why once you've got that solid foundation and then the tools to connect into what you truly desire, you get pulled toward what you truly want instead of having to push and claw and struggle to get there.
Yeah. I think that, you guys will hear this time and time again. Each guest in their own way is going to tell you, okay, let's connect. It's all about, connecting to that essential nature, whatever you call it. So how do people get in touch with you? How do they learn more about Dr. Heather Clark?
They can go to my website at vibrantagain.com. And I've got some good information there, and they can sign up for the newsletter to keep informed of different things and different writings that I'm doing.
Beautiful. Okay, everyone, stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Are you here to change the world? Do you talk about things like vibration, frequency, awakening, and consciousness? Are you pretty sure you have superpowers? The Superpower Net is unlike normal coaching programs and conscious communities. We provide training, intuitive guidance, peer-to-peer learning, intensive one-on-one coaching, and a high vibrational network of people just like you. When you join the net, you get 24/7 access to a collaborative group of people who support you as you master your personal power and unlock your superpowers. If you're ready to use your superpowers to change the world, then join the Superpower Net today. Visit superpowerexperts.com/the-net to learn more.
Well, welcome back to the Superpowers of the Soul. I am Jennifer Urezzio, and we are with Dr. Heather Clark. And the topic today is the mind and consciousness of a master healer. And what I love about being a master healer and probably working from home, which a lot of you do, is we all are surrounded by our pets. And Moosh is making her way to the mic, so you might hear her peeping. And I know that Dr. Heather Clark has an amazing dog, so you might get a little play from over there as well. And so enjoy us and our pets. So welcome back, Heather. So tell us what you mean, and I'll tell you what I mean by master healer.
Ooh, that is a good question. It's one of those things that you really feel like, oh, I know exactly what that is, and then you go to articulate it. I think a master healer is someone who is creating not only for other people, but definitely for themselves, this solid foundation of being truly fine with who they are. And the more it resonates, the more it's almost like beating the drum of who you are. And it's that rhythm which can attract other people and then help them see, oh, wait, no, everything truly is great how I am. And that, again, it can sound like a little bit of a throwaway, it's all love and light, but it actually is much deeper than that. It's a very powerful journey to be on and to help other people. Because what I've discovered, for instance, if somebody has particular symptoms or physical issues, mental, emotional issues, these are signals from your soul. This is your soul trying to talk to you to let you know, hey, wait a minute, there's something to accept. There's something to change. There's something to shift. There's something that isn't working for you anymore. And it's really being able to tune into those signals and then create whatever shift is required to release the symptom, to release the dis-ease, to release whatever the issue is. And I believe master healers have found different methods for helping themselves and others do that.
Beautifully defined. I consider a master healer. I think everyone on this planet is a healer in one shape, form, or another. I think master healers are focusing on it as a big internal journey, and then focusing what they know and what tools that they've used and all of their support systems, and giving others the opportunity to heal as well. I think the key that I think both of us agree on is that a master healer is participating fully and completely as much as they can on their journey, and is actively pursuing knowing that they're whole and complete, and then offering that same wholeness and completeness to their clients, the world, and others. And we all just do it in our own kind of flavor and shades of color. So why is, mind and getting the mind on board with the heart and consciousness so key to a master healer?
Well, because it's your consciousness that creates your reality. And it's easier to really shift the mind, kind of shift what you're thinking, shift that energy, than to actually shift something physical first. Typically, the higher up you go in the dimensional levels, the easier it is. So I think that's part of why it's important. It's like, well, what reality are you looking to create? What is your goal? What is your desire? And then what is there to shift? Is there a different perception? Is there a different question? Is there a way to be that doesn't operate from conclusion, so that you can really create the openness to get to what you want? And when you're talking about healers, it's often getting to like a physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual healing. But really, it can be healing anything. It can be healing money. It can be healing relationships, anything like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, so many times when people look outside themselves, like, if I only had blah, 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 I would be, this. And when they get the blah, 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 they're still not that. And I think, having a mindset, being conscious, keep tuning into wholeness and completeness. And that's what I mean by consciousness. I mean about being really conscious about how you're responding to the world and how you're participating in it. And are you choosing wholeness and completeness, or are you choosing separation? And if you're choosing separation, that's fine. But that's another choice that you get to make to move back into wholeness and completeness. And I think that it's key, because we're not responsible for, but we do have a responsibility as master healers to model, be the best that we can be without a judgment or criticism or making ourselves crazy, but really allowing the best possible modeling for ourselves and for others. And I think that takes consciousness, and I think that takes sacred practice, and I think that takes, being without judgment. And I think that takes also support, not being alone on the journey and having someone around to ask questions that you haven't thought of. What are some of the kind of tools and tricks of the trade, so to speak, that you believe master healers require?
I like to operate from a place of helping people be fully you, fully alive now. And I like that for several reasons, because number one, it's operating on the premise that the more fully and completely you can be you, the more things you attract to you that you truly desire. Being fully alive creates a mental shift. You're thinking about mind and consciousness. It's like, well, what's it mean to be fully alive? That isn't an answer that's like a half a sentence.
Right.
That's, well, I don't know. It's a whole different way of being. Well, what's it mean to be fully alive? And then my favorite part is now, not in 10 minutes, not next week, not as soon as 2 more clients come on board, not after I win the lottery, but right now. And it creates that shift, like, okay, fully me, fully alive now. And it puts you in a completely different energetic space. So instead of operating from, well, this is what I did, and here's my little tricks that I do, and here's my 2-point checklist. Tricks and checklists aren't a problem, but I like, especially for master healers, they've been on the spiritual journey for a while. They've had at least one spiritual awakening, and it's at various levels of comfort. And it's a different energetic space. So once you get there, the questions change. Your desire change.
Yeah, and I love that question. What would it mean to be fully alive right now? Because your soul will respond to that question, and then you can do the internal and external actions. And I love also something that you said, which I know, we've had at least one spiritual one, at least one. Mm-hmm. So guess what, everyone? You're going to have more. Yeah. And I think people forget that there's this kind of like in the lexicon of now, you got to be, wake, and I'm like, what the heck, but I think it's a hit mass consciousness of, you have to be awake, you have to be clear, you have to be conscious, you have to, be present. And I think that question, what would it mean to be fully alive now, covers all of those where you can clear your slate and go, okay, what do I want to be and do right here to bring out the best of me to really live my wholeness and completeness here?
Well, yeah, and then you're not trying to use old tools, because as you continue, you may have noticed spiritual awakening is more of a continuum. It isn't, okay, check mark, I've done that. So if you're continuing to ask and entertain in that bigger space, you're not using tools that used to work before, because they're not going to work in a new place.
No, not only that, but, as the consciousness grows, so does the ego. So, and so your mind will learn how to outsmart your tools.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
So I always change up my tools. I'll forget about a tool, and then I'll go, oh my God, I get to use this tool again. And then it becomes this like new way of doing something because I've changed. I've been asking, 1 or 2 of the same questions since I started the journey. And what I love about that is because my soul always asks it in a deeper way, and I always get more information. And I think one of the things that, healers do is, but I've worked on that before. Great. We all have, right? That's meaning that you're going to a new level. And I think that we get to really be conscious that this is kind of a spiral. It is a journey. There's things that are going to keep coming up, and I think they come up for you to choose consciousness. That's an opportunity to do that choosing. So before I ask the last question, Heather, how do people get in touch with you?
Oh, well, you can get in touch with me via the website, vibrantagain.com, Or if you're interested, you can apply to have a chance to speak with me at no charge at realclaritycall.com.
Beautiful. So I have two last questions. The last question is, if there was one thing that you want people to remember today from our conversation, what would that be?
Oh, the idea that you truly can be fully you, fully alive right now.
Beautiful. And my last question is, if you were a magnet on whatever you call your higher power, universe, tree, Bob, God, cupcakes, refrigerator, what would it say? Everyone laughs at that question. I love it because everyone's like, what?
I love
that
it.
question?
I love it because it like, that's exactly what I was talking about, how it takes your brain into a whole new space. And it was delightful and it made me giggle because here's what I got. I got #awesome.
Nice. I love that. Well, thank you so much for playing with me today. Heather, #awesome. And if you like what you've heard, you can connect with me and all the other experts in the Superpower Net at superpowerexperts.com/the net. Thanks a lot, and find your connection, listen to your soul, find your superpower. Bye, Heather.
Bye.
Are you ready to discover your superpowers? Go now to superpowerexperts.com and take the Superpower Quiz today.